How's it going, Assassinators? It is No Data here, and welcome back to another Roblox video. And today we are going to be doing another assassin story, and I haven't really done this in a while. You know, I've only really done one, and then a follow-up, and then, you know, the follow-up got more views than the actual story. But, you know, that's beside the point. Today I'm going to be talking about the time that I got scammed. So, if you like this story, don't forget to like and leave a comment and subscribe, and you know, enjoy today's nice little story and some assassin gameplay. You know, it's post-commentated, which I actually haven't done in a while, ironically, because there isn't really much to talk about in post-commentary. So the time I actually got scammed was during the February update, which, you know, that was a time when many new mythics got released. You know, Spider, Freezendo, Dark Horse, Rainbow Seer, those kind of stuff, and Lava Blade, that was also added in that update. And I always consider that the dark times of Roblox Assassin. You know, the dark ages of my endeavors. But, you know, I'll get into more detail as to why that was in a little bit. So, you know, the knife that got scammed for me was a Spider, which is pretty unfortunate because back then Spider was worth quite a bit. And I'd say I'd have, like, I think I had either 3 or 4 Spiders back then, maybe just 3. And then I ended up only having 2. I don't really remember. But, you know, I was playing Assassin, and then this guy was just like, hey, do you want Robux for one of your Spiders? And I was like, sure, because I need some Robux back then. And, you know, he was like, okay, join this group. You know, which group? The group of which I dare not say on video at all. But, you know, so I joined the group because, as you know, that's kind of how Robux is distributed these days, by the group funds, and, you know, that was great. And so we left the public server we were in, and we made a little party chat, and we discussed prices and stuff, and, you know, on normal circumstances, I usually have a very strict Robux first policy. You know, I had a Robux first policy back then. You know, obviously I don't really do those exchanges anymore, per se, but, you know, back then I had that policy, and the only thing that really, like, how I fell for the scam was because, believe it or not, my VIP server, which I actually had, I bought that for the sake of actually doing that trade, believe it or not, fun fact. So, you know, I already spent 100 Robux making a VIP server, because, as you know, that's how the trade was done. And so basically, you know, we went on the server, and, like, basically, long story short, I ended up trading a Spider for a nice sword, and then he freaking unfriended me and left and all that other stuff. So, you know, it was kind of a big deal back then, because, you know, the Spider was worth quite a bit back then in the past, so it kind of sucked, not gonna lie. But luckily, I was actually able to get another Spider back in 20 minutes, which, from first instinct, you might think, oh wow, you're so lucky that you got a Spider back, but, you know, I got it back from, like, a friend for, like, a slight quote-unquote discount. I say quote-unquote because basically, I ended up trading, like, corrupted axe and, like, other knives, and that's kind of why I considered the February update, like, the dark ages of Assassin, because, you know, I had a lot of knives back then, but the thing was, I didn't really know the concept of value changes, and that's because back then, value changes never really happened, you know, because it was a much smaller community, and the unobtainable knives were, like, only recently removed from the elite case, and it was much simpler time. Corrupted axe was worth, like, 6 exotics, and the values never really changed. So, you know, I was still kind of new. I was only playing for a couple of months. I was like prestige like 30 something, and I was like, oh, these, I thought like the values would never really change. Like these were the values, and that's kind of just how it was. It was just assigned. So, you know, at the initial update, Spider was like worth more than Corrupted Axe, which seems outrageous now, months later, when Corrupted Axe was worth like 22 exotics. But back then, it kind of made sense, sort of. So I ended up trading like Corrupted Axe and like other exotics, and I made like other bad trades like that too. Like I ended up trading like multiple Corrupted Axes for like spiders and like Friezendos, because Friezendo was worth more back then. Corrupted Axe was 6, Friezendo was 7, and you know, that's really how I lost most of my profit, just by doing bad trades like that. In the long run, it wasn't really the actual scam that really affected me, because, you know, Spider's only worth like 5 now, so if that scam really happened to me, it's just like, okay, that's not a big deal. You know, it sucks, but it's not a big deal. And, you know, obviously, that wouldn't really happen to me anymore. But it was really those trades that, you know, my inventory would be worth a lot more if I actually knew about value changes at that time. I would have a lot more axes and kings and, you know, just a general better inventory. You know, I also traded like a lot of unattainable knives, like unicorns, like flame mace. I would trade for unicorn because, you know, I needed unicorns to craft mythics, and, you know, they were equal back then, so, you know, I definitely did bad trades back then too. But, you know, the moral of this story, guys, is to learn from your mistakes. That's what I want you guys to take from this video, is to learn from your mistakes. You know, make sure like you know what worked and what didn't, just from your experiences. You know, I never want to put the blame on the victim of a scam, because obviously, you know, the actual scammer deserves the blame. Like, why would you just take somebody's knife that they worked hard for? That's wrong. But at the same time, guys, and this is something you should know, this is something that everybody should know, this is a very good point if you want to make profit on Roblox. All scams are preventable. Every single one of them. Any scam and assassin can be prevented if you be careful. Unless it's like huge giant hack that which just takes everybody's knives. In which case, that's not really a scam. That's sort of, you know, an exploit or a hack. That's not really a scam per se. So, you know, all scams are preventable. And, you know, I'm not going to lie. I made a mistake doing that trade. You know, again, it was sort of the heat of the moment. I already spent Robux buying a VIP server for this. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. You know, I'm going to take that risk. And it was a mistake. So, and again, like, I didn't really know about value changes back then, so I made a lot of bad trades, you know, so I made mistakes there. Like, everybody thinks, like, oh, I was, like, perfect the moment I joined Assassin. That's not true. I've made many mistakes in the past. I've crafted Fool's Gold into an exotic, and now I can't get that back. I crafted coal into Krampus, which, you know, isn't really a big deal if Prisman makes Christmas knives tradable, which it should eventually. I mean, we made the Halloween knives tradable, so presumably he's gonna do that eventually. But, you know, I've made mistakes, and I've learned from them. I've learned from my mistakes. I know value changes now. I know how to not get scammed, and I've become better in general, so I'm able to prevent stuff like that from ever happening again. So, you know, guys, just be sure you know how people get scammed. Like, if you're scared of getting scammed, which you should be, because it's very easy to get scammed, you know, just try to steer clear from those risky trades. Like, always stick with, like, the really basic trades, you know. Like, Robux, like, I know, like, a lot of people want to exchange Robux for their hard work, but it's easy to get scammed. So I don't recommend doing those kinds of trades anymore, and if you do, like, try to get Robux first, but, you know, that might not happen because the other person wants their stuff first to prevent getting, because they're scared of getting scammed too, so usually just those kind of trades just don't work. And, like, bigger trades that involve, like, 5 slots, like, let's say, like, you want to get, like, a dark horse, and the person wants 6 exotics for that, because that's what it's worth, and you only have, like, 6, like, tier 1 exotics, like, separate to, like, 6 different exotics. You know, try to not do trades like that. That takes multiple trades to actually make, because somebody has a risk of getting scammed, you know? Like, I know, like, let's say you want to trade for, like, a Skeleton King, getting 27 exotics into 4 slots, 4 knife slots of trade is difficult. You know, you're gonna need, like, at least 1 tier 3. So, you know, I get it, it's difficult, but that's kind of what you have to do to prevent getting scammed. So, you know, you kind of have to trade gradually, and, like, you trade for, like, tier 3s until you can actually get, like, a lot of exotics into one trade, and then maybe you can trade for Skeleton King. So, you know, trades like that you gotta steer clear from, and if you get scammed, just be sure to learn from your mistakes and learn what went wrong and what you can do to prevent that from happening again. And that's just pretty much what I want you guys to take from this video. You know, a little tip to getting wealthy and getting a lot of knives on this game. And that is pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed the story or the advice that I gave, you know, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and those other things that YouTube people do. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Toodles.